What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? Welcome back for another episode. It
What up?
is
What up?
your boy Kyrie,
And your boy Hemi.
and welcome to
What's
The
the
Point?
point?
So, today we're going to be having our Gaze and God episode. This is episode 6. I'm proud of us. To be honest with you, I'm proud of us.
We are sticking with it.
Something I want to say that, talking about prior is, I've had dreams before, things I want to do. And through that little self-saboteur and things in life, I have not completed them. Having something I want to do hasn't been important to me like this, being now interwoven with people I care about, means so much more. I mean, the stakes are so much higher, and it's not just something I can walk away from. So to everybody, to all you guys, I just want to show my appreciation, my love, because we have something very special here that we are trying to do and that we will do, and we look forward to everybody that's going to be on the ride as we continue to do this wonderful thing that we're doing.
Yes, we truly appreciate everybody that's tuning in and watching us
Yes,
just
all
speak our
14 of
minds.
you. I know
Yes,
there's a
but
strong 14 that are watching right now, and we love you.
we are building a core audience,
Exactly.
and that
That's the
is
way.
all that matters.
That's
14
it.
today, 17 tomorrow.
Okay.
We're moving on up to the east side. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. So I'm here for it.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Always upward and onward. Today's episode, like I said, being about gaze and God, is a particularly sensitive episode for myself because, as touched upon in the previous episode, I experienced, which I didn't know at the time, was grooming from my choir director. Into the point that he became, my first experience. And we did dive into some of that previously. But before I get into that, I want to, go back further. Let's talk about other experiences, what it was like growing up in the church and things like that, because it wasn't all bad. You know what I'm saying? Being a church kid was one of the things that I loved. I loved going to Sunday school and summer Bible class and the trips and all those things because that's what my mom raised us on. You know what I mean? But let me toss it to you. So, before you, I'm quite sure you had your own same experience in that way of being a church kid. So, what was that like for you?
We did grow up in the church. My granddaddy was the deacon. My grandma was the head of the usher board, and
All right.
we did vacation Bible school every summer, and we were just in church all the time. That probably lasted until my grandfather passed when I was like 12 or 13, and then my dad just kind of fell off of taking us, and I think maybe that was because his dad wasn't making us go every Sunday anymore. So we kind of fell off, but definitely was a church kid till about 13. And then we didn't really go anymore. And then at like 16, 17, I kind of found my way back to church for a little while when I was questioning everything in existence because that's what teenagers do. Um,
Really?
Absolutely. I was
No, it was the way you said it.
questioning, does
The
God
way you said it.
exist?
I saw the eye turn. You got real theatrical.
Why?
The way teenagers
Well,
do.
I am a trained thespian.
I
You
promise
know.
you that's going to be every episode. He's going to say that every episode. I promise y'all he's going to say that.
At my very, hello God, it's me, Hemi moment.
Ah!
So I kind of stepped back in the church a little bit. But then you start there, and I guess we'll get on this later. But you start to hear things about like being queer is wrong and blah blah blah. But so then now you're having internal struggles like, but I can't help how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I'm. I don't So you pretend for a long time. And it was just, I think I'm floating into areas we're going to visit later. But just as a kid, yes, I was in church every Sunday, listening to the word, falling asleep, getting slapped upside the head to wake up. Those,
I
the
didn't
normal kid
okay.
in church stuff.
So for me, it was more so the I didn't get slapped upside the head. It was more so the ladies that like I used to lay on their laps and go to sleep. It was those types of ladies. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't experience like getting patted, slapped on the head to wake up and things like that. Unless I sat like one next to one of the deacons or something, or like one of the guys in church that I knew.
Hmm.
But I was always like, as a kid, I was always sitting next to some busty older woman that was like, "Oh, just put your head on my lap, baby." You know, all that type of shit.
Oh no, there
Um,
wasn't no sleeping in church for me. Don't lay your head down on nobody's lap. You better be getting this good word.
Because we were always taught that even if you're asleep, the word is still getting into your body. You're still hearing the word.
That's not how
I
it
know,
works.
right?
At
Um,
my church, you better open them eyes and catch this message.
there were so many different things that I did enjoy growing up before certain things happened, you know, and it was, you know, what I thought of, like we talked about with friends and things like that. Like, so that's like I would like go on trips with the church and things like that. The usual things that you do when you're in a church. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I always had good experiences until I was in my teens and going through the whole gay thing. You know what I mean? That's when things took that turn. That
When you have to say, hello, God, it's me, Kyrie.
I mean, in a lot of ways, yeah. Because I mean, before that, it was just running around the church and like not thinking about nothing. Yeah, I'm a part of the choir. Yeah, I am. I was a kid, so I didn't. Nothing of those things mattered. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So when you become a teenager is when you start to figure out who you are. So
When
that is
puberty hits, it's
when
a bitch.
you start listening more intently to things people are saying. You want to understand more versus as when you're 8 and 9, you just want to run around and play with your friends, sing with the choir. You're not really catching everything that's being put down. Yes, certain little things stick in your head like Bible verses and stuff, but you're not putting it all together. But as you become a teenager and then to your young adult is when you start to question things and figure out who you are. And I feel like I went on a journey where I had to question, is God real? And I wholly believe in God, but I did have that moment where I was questioning everything.
I think I've always, since I started really understanding the Bible, started questioning things. And of course, when the sexuality came into play, you start questioning everything. In the beginning, at first, I didn't. I just thought that, you know, I was just born. I thought I was born wrong. You know what I mean?
I think we all
And
go through that.
I remember I had an epiphany one day where I was like, I'm gonna just go gung ho, and I'm just gonna, try to be as godly as I can. And every gay magazine and piece of paraphernalia and any pride, whatever I chucked it. And it was like in my early teens. You know what I'm saying?
You had gay magazines in your as an early teen?
So yeah. So here's the thing. Roughly,
I'm sorry, I forgot I'm leaving to Beaver. Continue.
so roughly around 18, 19, I want to say yes.
Oh, 18, 19. You said early teens, which I thought, I'm assuming
Well,
13, 14.
no. I mean, I got a hold of some shit, but like that was more like just magazines you buy. The they're not gay. They weren't gay magazines. They were just like regular porno mags.
Okay.
I just happened to get my hands on them because back in the day it was just easier to do shit like that.
Yeah.
And then plus I worked at a barber shop and they had porno mags in the barber shop.
Oh, okay.
So like I was a sweep up boy from like 13 to 16. So I knew where to get them because they got them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And when I would look at their porno mags, I wasn't looking at the girls. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, that was kind of a very big hint as to, the direction I was going in.
Big old queer.
Right. But when I was really trying to I guess make a go of it, I took all that stuff that I had collected and everything, and the other things that I had were from like prides and things that I had gone to and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
and I threw them all in the trash. Like I'm gonna give it the good college try, as they say. Girl, that shit ain't last long. I was sucking dick in a week. I'll tell you something. That didn't. No, that was
So you just threw all your good stuff away for
not.
nothing.
I read all that shit, and you know, because mind you, during all this, I was still dealing with um, the choir director at that point. You know what I mean? So it was everything for me was so confusing because from the time I started to realize I liked dudes, when I was going to this church, name was Parkview. I only joined the choir there because there was this tall, big guy that I found cute in the choir. I had no intention of joining that choir. My mama talked to me about it because I could sing and all that stuff, but I had no plans on that at all.
Okay.
And then lo and behold, I see this big dude, and he was chubby, and I was like, well, maybe the choir wouldn't be so bad. So then that led to other, avenues of things. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's all I can say. I didn't have the best intention of jumping in the choir in the first place.
Right.
But, you know, it really was that point of like my teenage years when everything just started to take on that, like you say, that really big question point. Before I start to go too far, what would you say was your biggest point of like, okay, everybody is condemning me for something I can't control or change. I didn't ask for this. And people, let's be real. Being gay is not something that you can change. Sexuality is fluid. It really is. And I believe you can go from one side of the spectrum to the other. Can gay men find women attractive? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I do find women attractive to a certain extent, but like not in a
I find them pretty.
right. Like
She's beautiful.
I don't want to have sex with a woman, but I don't think women are ugly or anything like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Women are beautiful.
Very much so. Like a good pair of tits and ass will stop me in my tracks. I'm not gonna lie to you. Now, do I want to fuck her? No. But if she got a beautiful pair of tits and ass, wonderful. If she has legs for days, bless God. But that don't mean I want her. It just means that she is blessed with what God has given her and crafted on that body.
Right. Reeling it back in.
I'm just saying.
Hold on. No, you were asking me a question.
Oh, because I do that. Okay. So,
right. So I'm trying to reel you back in.
thank you so much.
No, well, you're not a problem.
So what would you say? Like I'm gonna give it to you again.
Mm-hmm.
What was your biggest moment? Because again, as gay men, we go through persecution. You're told you're wrong, left and right, and all of that. So, what was your biggest moment when you had to finally have that "Hey God, it's me, Hemi" moment, where you're like, "What's really good?" Well,
Um, I don't know that I really had a huge like epiphany moment, but I will say this. Picture it.
If you say Cicely, I'm gonna slap you.
Picture it.
I felt Cicely coming right after. Okay.
The year was 2000. The place Detroit, Michigan. So me and my best friend end up finding out we both were attracted to guys. The summer we were turning 21, we've been friends forever, and he might kill me for telling this story, but it's not really bad. But maybe he won't watch this episode. But
I think
this was kind of where
you had beforehand.
this was kind of where I had like a shutdown moment. So he used to have some gay porn videos.
Mm-hmm.
And he was still living with his mom at the time. And it was so funny because me and the other best friends were over. And I went to the bathroom in the basement. And I don't know why I opened the medicine cabinet, but I opened the medicine cabinet. And the porn tapes were in the medicine cabinet. So I came out the bathroom like, why do you got the gay porn tapes in the medicine?
Like, that's a weird ass
my
place.
mom never uses the bathroom down here. She's never going to find them. He basically chalked it up to I'm too lazy to take them up to my
That's
room.
basically what it comes down to.
So he would hide them in the medicine cabinet in the bathroom in the basement.
Right.
Cut to like a week later. He is calling me saying, "Can I come stay with you guys?" And I was like, "What?"
She found him.
He's like, "My mom found the tape. She told me I'm gonna burn in hell to get the hell out of her house. She never wants to see me again." Blah blah blah. So at that moment, it was, and so we've been friends since we were like 5, and so we're 21, and so at that moment, I hadn't told my parents, and so I was like, I'm never telling my parents because if my mom's gonna condemn me to hell and put me out the, I'm
Well,
not.
I'm just not gonna do
I'm
this
just
shit.
gonna keep my mouth shut. I'm never going to tell my parents
Sometimes I wish I had
ever.
that thought process.
And so he stayed with us for 2 days, sleeping on my bedroom floor. Then his mom just called me out of the blue that third morning and said, "Hey, where's my son?" And I said, "Oh, right here." And she was like, "He hasn't been home. I was worried that, can I speak to him?" Like nothing had happened.
Right. You just totally mentally blocked out you to kick your son out, woman?
So I gave him
What
the
in the
phone.
world? How do you do that?
And he talked to her for a minute. He got off the phone. He was like, she asked me, why haven't I been home? And
Uh,
he was like,
Are the locks the same? Let's ask that
you
question.
kicked me out. And she said, I didn't mean it. And then they kind of just, she went back home and they never discussed it. Have never, ever to this day discussed it again.
I could never.
And
I could never.
that
Never.
moment made me question, like, me, like, do I want to keep doing this? Because, but then you realize that it's not something that you can stop because it's who you are. It's built inside of you, and if you try to stop what makes you happy, you will be unhappy. And so, I mean,
That was
absolutely,
and she said, okay, I handled it wrong or whatever. I'm not gonna say nothing about it. I'm just gonna do,
act like nothing happened. That's exactly what she did.
And so many parents try that, but I think, sweeping it under the rug was like the biggest. It was the biggest way black families could handle dealing with having gay children. Sweep it under the rug, or we don't talk about it, or they're just different, or things like that.
But I don't even think it's a black thing. I think families with gay kids in general, a lot of times, especially when we were
Well,
growing
that is
up,
true, but I'm
like,
talking about black people because we're
not
black.
now. These kids have so much more freedom to do what they want to do now and be open
That's a
and
great
wear
example.
dresses and stockings and heels and things that we could not do in growing up in the 90s.
And
Like,
I support
you are
it.
going to get beat up
Like,
in the 90s.
That's the thing is like I
Yeah.
100% support that the generations now have the freedom to do it because, like you just said, when we were in that space, that was not happening.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I played with my sister's clothes, their dolls, things like that. Like I'd wear skirts on my head and all that shit. And my stepdad flipped the first time he saw it. You know what I'm saying? Before he came into the picture, it was just my mother, my sisters, myself.
Right.
So I did what my sisters did, and nothing was ever thought about it. Well, for the most part, you know what I'm saying. My stepdad came in, and that's when everything went hyper masculine and hyper black, and just everything changed in my life. Do I think I'd be more femme now? Probably. I don't know for sure, because I mean, I consider myself to kind of be split down the middle in some ways. You know what I mean? I mean, for me, and we're gonna go back to the other topic, but for me, like if I ever do decide to dress in drag, for me it's like putting on a costume. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's how I view drag. It's art. It's a costume. It's something that you do for expression. You know, there are those who, pardon me, there are those who use drag as an experimentation to see if they are, more than a drag queen. You know what I'm saying? And at one point, I thought about that same thing, but that's not my journey. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But going back, I think for me, it wasn't one big moment of, hey God, what's going on? It's been several small moments and some big moments.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think you ever have one gigantic, like the movie, like the epiphany, like you said in the movies, that big. I don't think you ever really have that. Like they say, you can have something similar, but it's always, to what I find, and this is my experience, smaller moments that lead to something big. You know what I mean? When you ignore the smaller moments, and then it gets to something that you can't ignore. You know.
So, what would you say were like two small moments that led up to, and then what was the big moment they led up to? Like, since you made that example, what would be
One of the
an
okay.
example you would give to the viewers?
So one of the smaller moments was, and this goes back, a lot of my teenage years are center focused around the choirs that I dealt in because that was all I knew.
Hmm.
So a lot of those moments happened during those times. I became more understanding about it as I got older, just to context. So one of those moments was when I was working at McDonald's as a teenager. I want to say I was somewhere 17, 18 is what I want to say. I was closing. I was, in that point where I was trying to figure out my masculine to feminine ratio of life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's every gay man, you try to figure out how much of a girl is in here, as opposed to, I mean, don't get me wrong, she's fairly butch queen. She's fairly butch queen. Okay. I will pop you there, I ain't gonna lie to you. Hashtag soft top. But anyway. But no. I was working, and these two girls that were in the choir that I was in, they came as I was closing, and they were like, "Hey, we'll give you a ride home." Sure, gave me a ride home, and they started to question me about my mannerisms and my behavior.
These some coworkers.
No. There were two girls that were in the choir that I was in.
Oh, okay, okay.
Um, so I remember these two girls knew the director because he was director of the church choir,
Mm.
the youth church choir, and not, well, by youth I mean, like, the young adults, not the kids.
Hmm.
Um, but and then he had his own choir that he put together himself, and
Okay.
a lot of us that were in the church were also in his choir. So these girls, they had seen me quite frequently.
Mm.
So they were just like, we noticed you're becoming a little more feminine. What's going
Who
on
are
with
they
you?
to
They thought well,
confront you? But continue.
they thought they were that close to me, and at one point, and when I was that age, I naively thought that I could talk to them,
Okay.
and I told them what was going on between me and the director, and instead of taking what I said, they went to him and said that I was lying, that I came to destroy his ministry, and that man called and cussed me out.
Are you serious? Wow.
So that was one.
Mm.
The other one was, after that, we did not talk for a month or so. And when we saw each other, it was like nothing, and hooked up that day.
Mm.
Still same person. Now, by the time, I was not in his choir anymore at that point, because after what they had said and everything, I didn't want to be there. It was awkward, and he didn't want me there. Because now he was going to be looked at for his sexuality, if, you know what I'm saying, because that was going to be talked about.
Right.
But mind you, he had been fucking me since I was 15.
Mm.
So, it was a thing of, I thought that was a moment of clarity of like, okay, God, you're bringing this to my attention so that something can be done. He's not right. I should say something. But it wasn't that. It was, you're coming here to destroy us. Never mind the fact that everything that I knew was taught to me by him.
Right.
But I was the one that was destroying his ministry. So they
Well, that's
came.
because he's a predator.
But
So he's gonna make you feel bad.
oh, right. He made me feel like shit.
because he feels like he could be outed, so he has to make you feel bad so that you will fall back
Hmm.
and kind of disappear. So he has to make you feel like it's your fault. So you step back and step down, and nothing is gonna have him outed in the church. So
Basically. So he continued to do the thing. He continued to have his choirs and all that. I don't know whoever he messed with, if he did or didn't. That's not my business. But having those moments with him, that whole constant interaction with him from 15 up until I think my late 20s, early 30s. That was a whole moment itself. You know what I'm saying? I'm being preached.
wait, you dealt with him until your early 30s?
Yes.
Oh, friend.
When I
Bless
say
your heart.
when I
That's
say the man had ingrained himself into my brain, yes.
wow.
I didn't know what grooming was. I didn't know, and it wasn't like on a consistent. It was off and on,
Yeah.
but it was always like I know that I can go to this person. You know what I'm saying? Money, sex, just to get out of the house. Because mind you, my entire life, from the time my stepfather came into the picture until I left and moved here, was completely running away from him, my family, all of that. Like living in Maryland through his eyes, the way he made it and projected it out was I was the big bad. I was the one that had AIDS. I was the one that was going to hell. He didn't want to be in the house with a. Like that's what I grew up with. He blamed him having his affair on me, saying he didn't want to be in the house with a gay man or.
So that made him
And I'm
cheat
gonna
on
keep
your
using
mama?
that term because that's a direct term, y'all. So if you don't like the fact that I'm using it, I'm sorry, but that was a direct term. It can be beeped, but hey, that's what I was called. I'm not saying it any way to disrespect,
I don't think it needs to be beeped.
but
You're not using it in a
I'm
disrespectful way.
right, and I want viewers to understand this is what it was like back then for us. You know, like we had to deal with these things. You know what I'm saying? So because so much was put on me through lies and all that I know, I ran to the other guy, the choir director, because it was a place of refuge. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So for me, in my mind, it was refuge, it was sex, it was food, it was money, it was everything that I wanted and did not have to a certain degree. He always, in some way, provided that.
Yeah, we have such immensely different backgrounds.
Um,
Like,
yeah, my life was
I
based
couldn't
on survival.
Yeah, I couldn't
Like,
imagine. Friend.
and
Like,
another big moment was this preacher that I had been fooling around with showed up as a guest minister at a church I was going to with my sister. Because he was friends with her pastor and his wife.
okay.
So when I saw him there, mind blown. The way he was preaching, anti this and all that. And I literally saw him a week prior and had no clue this was happening.
Like he was preaching about like anti-gay. Like,
Yes.
isn't that the worst
And
ish in
it's
the
always the
world when
weirdest thing.
you hear somebody that you know is gay that maybe you know been intimate with
I have
sit
dealt with
there
plenty of a
and
bishop and a pastor
yes
and a deacon.
deny everything and gays are horrible and you're going to hell, but then they in the back room sucking dick.
Exactly. I met a pastor on was it Growler, Bear 411, either one of them sites or whatever.
Did you say barefoot 1-1?
Bear 411.
I don't know what that.
Bear 411 was one of the prime apps or sites back in the day where you could meet folks. You know what I'm saying? I met a particular individual on Bear 411 so many years ago. So,
Oh, our producer.
yes. I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it just right out, but yeah, I met him.
Well,
on Bear
you
411.
did your head like this.
I was missing that to you.
Oh, I'm like,
No couth whatsoever, audience. None of it, whatsoever.
I
But
don't know,
yeah, I
always
met him on
keep it
Barefoot
real.
One, and yeah, long story short, whatever. We're best friends, whatever. But this guy that I met, I didn't know what he did when I met him until he told me. that he was a pastor, and it was so funny. We hooked up a couple of times, and he wanted to take me to one of his convocations and keep me in his room so that in between doing stuff, he had a little piece to play with. Now, of course, I did not go, but I've had so many. Excuse me. I've had so many moments where I just, you know what, God, if I'm going to hell, there's gonna be so many different bishops and pastors with me at this point. I don't care.
I think it's just has to be like the worst way to live, like that double life where you
Yeah, I think
gotta,
so too.
where you want to be with a man and a man makes you happy, but because of your place in the community, you have to degrade and
But I feel like our community makes it
downplay
difficult.
everything that you actually want for yourself because you don't want people to look at you in the way that you're telling people to look at people like you. Do you get what I'm saying?
I feel like it's the epitome of self hate to
Yeah,
me
it's the worst.
for any person to stand there and be anti homosexual when you are. In any form. If you are attracted to men and you preach against it, you are preaching against yourself. And it's always weird to me to see it no matter where it is. But particularly since we're talking about the black church and the black community today, that's the main thing that I feel like it's in our community, and it's so prevalent to hate gays, and I feel like it's there because we're hated so much. You know what I'm saying? I mean, as black people, we are hated so much that we have to hate something else, so we turn to the next thing, which is the gays. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And it really is a mind fuck because I can't tell you how many men I've dealt with that are as cliche as the jokes that write themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Don't tell nobody, man. I ain't with. I'll fuck you up. Meanwhile, I'm fucking you. Right. Okay.
That part.
You know, like the trans women and gay men that have lost their lives because these men are scared and don't want to just live their lives and feel forced to keep these secrets. Like the black community as a whole has to accept responsibility for how they perpetuate that and what they put on us and how they create those dynamics. You know what I'm saying? I see all the time where black women talk about they want honesty in men. You really don't. Because when men are honest with you, you don't accept it. And if a bisexual man was honest with you, you really wouldn't accept it. And if you do, and it's like, now I'm not saying that you are homophobic or anything like that for trying out a bisexual man, but it's the thought processes that happen behind it that I always worry about. Like you think that a man's going to cheat on you more because he likes both men and women. There are 100% straight men that are just complete dogs and fuck anything moving. That ain't got to be a man. So that argument doesn't exist, or that argument is mute. You know what I mean? We hear about STDs, honey, like everything that you can think of. Those arguments have already been disproven. You know what I'm saying? So I think the black community, they feed into a lot of that fear and a lot of those things, and it makes it even more difficult, and it continues to also get funneled through the church because then you want to use the Bible to to double down on these things. But a lot of people, what makes me mad, a lot of black people don't get how the Bible was used against us as a whole. When we were first brought into this country, you know what I'm saying, there is something called the Slave Master's Bible. You can look that up. And it is a Bible that was given to black people to teach them how to be slaves and how to listen to the white man.
Right.
And all we do is perpetuate that same thing in the churches by taking a remnant, something similar in the Bibles that we have now, and we funnel that shit back through. And all it is self hate, oppression. It brings about depression, anxiety, because you're worried about going to a place that, for all you know, doesn't even fucking exist.
Well, I feel like there are lots of parts in the Bible that are amazing to me, and I will say I have a great relationship with my God. He looks out for me. He has my back. I pray every night. I just don't really. I'm not a fan of organized religion.
I
Like
stand next to
I
you,
don't
yes.
need organized religion to know that I have a good relationship with God. So that's kind of my stance of where I am at right now. But I was saying this to bring up something. Oh, I wanted to just this. I know this is gays and guys, but when you were saying about
Yeah.
the lady kind of turning down a bisexual man, I just wanted to comment and say I could see how um that could be an issue. And the reason I say that is not because the man likes men, but because they're and I'm saying this from hearing a married man who wanted to be in a relationship with me who said there's just things that my wife can't give me, and I could see
Mm-hmm.
a woman feeling that way when she knows
Now that I
that a man
understand,
is going to be bisexual. Like,
but
am I going to be able to fulfill what you get from a man because I don't have a penis?
that's the thing is you have to be able to understand that no, you don't. And if you love him and you want to understand you have a bisexual partner, bisexual, Lord have mercy.
Come on,
Ah,
bisexual.
that's what I'm saying. Like, oh, that's gonna live on the podcast forever. Bisexual. Ooh, I'm a bisexual. No, sorry. Eric, ain't you a bisexual? Ain't you one of them bisexuals? No, sorry. Anywho, um, what I think is to understand that if you're going to date this type of man, then understand that there are certain things that he wants you can't do. And within boundary and reason, allow that man to have those experiences. It doesn't mean that man is not coming back to you. But I
But
think
what if you believe in monogamy? Then you need to shut that down.
then that means that I mean, if you don't believe in,
So
if you,
then you can't. The woman can't date the bisexual man. So
but
doesn't
I
it
didn't
make
say,
sense that she
but
says?
I wasn't saying that trying to force a woman to do it or saying that she should. I'm saying that I don't understand when the excuses women can bring up when it comes to like cheating or things of that nature that a straight man can do. You know what I'm saying? I completely understand if it's a preference and it's like, you know, I would prefer to not date a bisexual man for the reasons that you gave.
Hmm.
It may create some inadequacy in me, and I don't want to feel that. That's completely understandable. I would not want to date someone and have a certain amount of inadequacy felt about me. Now, I have dated bisexual men and had to deal with that same thought process.
Right.
Because what if one day you just find a piece of pussy so good, you throw it up like sunshine, and she, you know what I'm saying, she sparkles. What am I
Right.
going to do? You know what
Right.
I'm saying? But I had to come to a revelation. You don't own anyone. All you can do is love them. And if what I'm doing for this person is not enough, and they end up leaving me for that person, then that means that there was something there that was more than what I was offering. Does it hurt? Fuck yeah. Is it wrong? Who's to say? You know what I'm saying? Like, in a way, yes. In a way, no. Because I mean, your heart's your heart. But it's wrong to hurt somebody. But if you know that you don't love that person, I mean, is it really wrong? You know what I mean?
It
But
depends on how. I think it could be wrong. It depends on how you leave them.
that's okay. There. That's what will make it wrong.
Like if you've already
If you
had
don't have the
the
hard
other
talks,
relationship going on,
right? Now
and
that's
your
I
partner
give
is
you
not
that.
aware, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm leaving you for Shaquita.
Right. Why you gotta have a hood name with your shit? You are so. In your world, there is, Meredith. I love you dearly, but in your world, your husband left you for a hood chick, didn't he?
Listen, no, I feel like Lawanda, your type of people do that,
No, my type of people
and
don't
you would
do
be
that.
associated with a Shaquita.
No, I would not. Well, I'm associated with you, so what I say about your ass?
Sometimes I take pity on people. Okay.
Shit, that's a damn lie. That's a damn fucking lie right there. Like, but like I understand 100% where you're coming from. I really do. I think, and just because I don't want to be misconstrued, I think that you should date who you want to date and love who you want to love. I just don't think that you should have bullshit arguments or excuses as to why you don't want to date a certain person. Whether it's a bisexual man, whether it's a bisexual woman, whether it's a white girl, white woman, whatever. Having a preference on a particular type, it's okay. Like my preference, what I'm saying, my main preference is, I like dark skinned dudes that are tall and chubby. That's my preference. But it does not mean that I do not find other types of chubby men or tall men or big men attractive. Now I'm not too big on
But
the slender folks.
you don't want no twink.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm going to say. I'm not keen on the slender folks.
So isn't that you being feeling a certain way towards a certain group of people?
No. Here's the thing though.
If you met a man who was 6 feet tall and weighed 125 pounds.
See, I have to be sexually attracted to you.
Okay. So you can't get mad if somebody says these are I always think that's such a weird thing when people get upset when you have a preference. Like I don't care. Like people get upset when it's like the black man always wants all these white men. But that for me is like, well, go on over there and get your white man, and I'm not gonna worry about it.
No, but just don't be disrespectful while you're doing it. Is what I'm saying.
But sometimes it's not even disrespectful. Like if we're having an honest conversation, there's times when people will just say like, "Oh, that black man is just all over all them white men," ugh. And it's like you're already upset, and you haven't even had a conversation with him, but you just see.
But that's that person has their own personal
his preferences.
Yeah, they have their own personal.
Because there's white people who have a preference for black people.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to date white people.
But see, here's the thing.
Or like you have a preference that
but to what you're
skinny
saying,
man can do nothing for you.
Right, but what you're saying though is I have to be attracted to him. So if I'm not attracted to you, I can't find that. So I stick within that wheelhouse. Now if you're nice and you're cool and I could put some weight on you in the future.
But see, you still trying to change. You still trying to change.
I can give you a good old, 20 pounds, bitch. You know what I'm saying? All right, I'm looking at the time here. We're going to move on to our last topic. Well, not last topic, but to round it out, to get ready to close it out. We've talked about so many different things behind the scenes.
Sorry, technical difficulties, people. Technical difficulties.
The clock that we had just failed. It was funny. So rounding this out.
How are we rounding this out?
I know, because that was funny. And Jesus Christ.
Did you forget what you...
No.
How are we rounding it out?
Rounding this out, we want to say this. While there has been so many different issues and stigmas and, problems in the church when it comes to the gay community, things have changed. There are a lot of changes that have been made and that you see today. There are a lot more gay affirming churches. There are just flat out gay churches. You do see a lot more gays and lesbians behind the pulpit as well. You know what I mean? So I'm happy to see that it's, in some ways it's coming full circle. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not by far where it should be. But we as black people, spirituality, God is ingrained in us. And so to have that part of us essentially ripped away or denied, the amount of fucked up mental health shit it causes is ridiculous. So I'm happy to see that, there are spaces now where you can, you don't have to worry about that hanging over your head. You can love God as you are, for who you are. And that's at the point of it, what it all is for me. Anyway, God is love and love is love. And in my walk, I've never been homeless. I've never been, starving. You know what I'm saying? God has always taken care of me and brought people into my life. That's right. This belly was built by Jesus. It was blessed by the Holy Ghost and built by Jesus.
And lots of bread.
That's fine. You like it said in the word. Okay, he took 2 loaves of bread.
Hallelujah.
And 2 fried fish and fed my fat ass. Understand some shit, okay? Made a po' boy. That's what he did. Jesus be a po' boy because he fed my fat ass. He can tell you some good shit. All right, be a fish sandwich, Jesus, with extra tartar and some cheese. Okay, look, stop. Stupid. Make me say dumb shit. Give me your closing thoughts because we're getting ready to say goodbye to our folks for today, for this episode.
Just my closing thoughts are really, you build your own relationship with God and religion and whatever that looks like for you. I have no judgment. If you feel like you need to be in church with organized religion, I say more power to you if that's what feeds your soul. If you don't need to do that, if you believe in Buddha or whatever higher power you believe in, I believe in a higher power, period.
Yes.
And however you make that relationship and that connection with your higher power, I feel is always a blessing in your life, because God has moved in my life in some serious ways, and I know that that's all it could have been. But yeah, make your way into however you need to believe and live for you. That's my thoughts.
Last thing I want to say is spirituality is for everyone. Do not let anyone stop you from gaining spiritual balance, spiritual peace. It is for everyone. No one is denied access to God or spirit or the universe or whatever deity that you subscribe to believing in or practice. Spiritual peace is for everyone. So with that, I want to say thank you all so very much. As always, it's been a great episode. Hemi, this has been amazing. This has been fucking amazing. I love it.
It's what we do.
And I just look forward to us doing so much more. Lastly, please like, share, follow, subscribe to our socials so you can always be notified of every time we have a new episode. We drop our podcast episodes. The audio is on Wednesday. That comes out to Spotify and Amazon Music and Podcast Link and Samsung Podcast. And link notes.
You were supposed to write this down and
I
have
was
it.
gonna write it
Didn't
down.
we say this on the
I'm
last
going to go
episode
through-
that you were
I'm
going to have the
memorize
list?
I'm either going to memorize this or it's going to be in front of my face. Okay? It's going to be in front of this pretty face next time. Shut up. Also,
What?
shut up. Punch you. Also, don't forget, we do have our email address, what's-the-point@gmail.com. What's the point pod at gmail.com. Again, that's going to be somewhere on the screen too. So, thank you guys so much.
You also have to tell them when the video is dropping.
Oh, our videos drop Fridays. God, see, I had everything worked out and they made me forget. So blame them. They made me forget.
He didn't write it down.
Whatever. Video.
Where do they find the videos?
Audios drop.
We're going to get them.
Where podcasts. Audios drop where podcasts are available on Wednesday evenings. And videos drop on YouTube Friday evenings. So.
And what's our YouTube?
What do you think it is?
You didn't say it. Tell the people.
Then you tell the people.
What's the point pod?
There you go. You're not even sure.
Because you were supposed to say this shit,
But you're
not
supposed
me.
to know it as well.
I will learn it eventually,
Oh,
but
eventually, girl.
you told the
Eventually,
audience
girl.
that you were going to write this down
So
for
y'all see
next
this, right?
time.
You see this, right?
So
You see
I
this,
was
right?
allowing you to blab about the socials, and then you did a horrible job. But it's okay. I still
Next
love you,
episode,
friend.
you will do it.
I will, and I'm gonna write it down and pull out my paper
I want to memorize.
because I am a trained thespian.
I hate you. You're stupid. All right.
All right,
We
y'all.
got-
We got to get out of
We
here.
gotta go. As always, give them your sign off so we can get out of here, sir.
Stay classy.
See you later, y'all.